So today's new month, so a new project, and make it a still life project for anybody who wants to do still life. Obviously, if you want to do something else, that's absolutely fine. But my teaching will demonstrate around the still life thing. So I thought I'd just concentrate on some of the drawing aspects of it today, and then perhaps we'll start painting. You know, whenever you want to start painting, or next week, or whatever you want to do. So I'm going to be demonstrating here. So hopefully you'll be able to see, but if you can't, maybe move around a bit. There's only so. Is that okay if I try and do that? Right. Okay. So I thought I'd just do a couple of quick demonstrations drawing single objects, and then obviously you can put them together however you want. Got a range of different things. So I'm thinking, you know, if you're going to draw something like a bowl or anything that's got round bits. So what we're seeing is, if I held that up to my eye level, what you'll see is just like a straight line. Whereas if you've just seen the complete bowl, it's going to be a circle, obviously. And then what most of the time we're going to see is something in between, so like an oval or an elliptical shape. So the way I go about drawing ellipses, I tend to sort of construct them. So I'll start with a horizontal line like that, and then just do a vertical, and then I just want to kind of measure off, perhaps that would be the width, and I can use another pencil or something just to get the same amount this way, and then if that's going to be the top of the bowl, maybe I'll make it a bit more than that, perhaps a bit higher, because that's more like what I can see to there. Okay, and then to get a nice oval round shape, I tend to hold the pencil quite a way back and just draw almost like from my wrist, my shoulder and my elbow. So it's sort of starting off a little bit like this. I find it easier to get these tighter radiuses in first and then gradually broaden it out. Something like that. So look, that's terrible. Get a bit higher, isn't it? And then once you've got a shape that you're happy with, you could then just hold the pencil a bit more control, and almost just sort of trace over that shape. But you've already got that as a guideline to get a nice shape. Also, if it helps to move the paper around, like my wrist naturally does that, rather than doing that sort of shape. Some shapes are just easier to draw from certain direction. I hope to get a reasonable elliptical shape that way. So that's that. If I was drawing something like a bottle, again, I just use the same sort of ideas. There's probably an ellipse at the top there. I want to get a symmetrical shape, so any kind of symmetrical object. Again, I just use this idea of just using a centre line, and then I can do a little cross at the top with the top of the bottle, the cork, as it's known. That can be shaped like that. And I do find that really helps. Or seeing, you know, students having a go at this, they definitely find it easier to make these, you know, little cross. Hiya. Parking sorted? Done. Thank you. Right, and then just work down from there. Oops. And then I'll then perhaps draw I'll just draw the top of the rim. I draw one side of the bottle, so I know it looks something like that. What you'll find is you then got an ellipse at the bottom to draw, but if we just get one side in, and then you could just put a few lines across like that. And then to get the other side symmetrical, it's really just like a kind of dot to dot. You can just measure these little bits across. Get slightly wider there, come down to here. Got one line, I think that's the line. Yeah, so you can literally just kind of join up the shape. Yeah, that's too wide, but it would join up something like that, really. A bit more accurate with it. It's just a way of keeping it, these sort of symmetrical objects looking symmetrical. So that's another idea. When it comes to the bottom, you've got another, really what you're drawing here is another elliptical shape. So sometimes it's worth just drawing a whole ellipse, like that, and then just rubbing out the bits you don't need. And you can just follow that around. And what quite often I see quite a lot of these things like this, and then a very sharp curve, a bit like that. So try and avoid getting like these little pointy square corners. So it's going to be like that. We can see something more like that. Is that okay so far?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So what else? Could do a little bit of measuring. If you come across this sort of idea. So what I do there is so what you need to do if you can try this. I find it's easy if you've got something to measure with. So one hand to measure and one hand to draw. And so it's going to draw the cup. Draw this. Have a little quick go at drawing a cup. There's a you basically don't want. I'll just turn this over. Clean a sheet of paper. Right, so you don't want to be moving around too much. You want to stay nice and still. So if you're sitting down, don't sort of lean forward, and then even if you lean back or lean forward. So pick your spot. Then what I'm doing is lining this side with one side of the cup, or this end with one side of the cup. Then just adjusting my thumb. So I'm basically doing that. You need to keep your arm outstretched. So you don't want to be doing this and then coming back to here. Your arm's length is like your arm's length, so it's like a fixed length. So hopefully when you go back, you're going to get the same measurement. So if I was drawing that cup, that's the width that appears if I'm standing here doing that. And then I could measure, say, from here to here. And that would be something like that to there. And then I could also do from this bit down to here. So that would come out about there. So that's probably enough measurements to make a drawing of a cup. And I can just go back and do what I did before, just kind of divide that in half that way. And then make my shapes like that, and like that. And then it's just a matter of then finding where the handle is. Sometimes for the handles, I start there, maybe just draw that a little bit, and then the shape on the inside, and then that outside shape. Sometimes I just find it easier to start from the inside of things and draw out. So that's measuring. The only thing with that is you're getting things exactly that size. So if you wanted it bigger, you'd have to bring it a bit closer, and if you wanted it smaller, you'd have to push it away. There is another way of measuring, perhaps I'll go into that next week, but that's a nice straightforward way, whereas everything you measure is literally, you can measure up. And it's quite a good one to practice. If you've never done that, it's quite a good one to practice. Things to remember: keep your arm stretched out, close one eye. I've got to say that. It doesn't work if you've got both eyes open. You just go a bit cross-eyed. Close one eye, keep your arm outstretched if you can do that. And something to draw is something to make.
I might do better if I close both eyes.
Well, sometimes that happens. Sometimes I'm measuring it just lets totally out. I'm better at charging it. But it can be useful. It's also so you can obviously measure the object, but you can also, if you've got a few objects, you can measure the space between the objects as well, things like that. So yeah, there's a bit more we could do there. I'll do a little bit on drawing perspective. Yeah, sort of boxes and square things. So it could be buildings, boxes, anything that's a kind of regular square shape. So if I was to draw this hitbox and I wanted to show, you know, two sides and the top, so I want to get, you know, see three sides. So my view will be something like that. So I'll pop this down here. I did this demo on Tuesday. Everybody said we can't see what you're drawing, so that's doing that bit. I find the easiest place to start is like this front corner. So I basically draw that corner first, and then this edge, and then that edge. Basically, where the sides meet is where I'm going to start. So that. So that can be that one, and then what you can do is you can kind of use your pencil to almost like sight the angle. So if I'm drawing the easel, I could literally just sort of swing around like that. See what I'm doing? It changes the view, so I can't do it from there. Just swing around and transfer that over. So I'd say I'm seeing something a bit like that. That one. And then this one is about that sort of angle. Well, one thing you can do is just try and imagine your hand, your pencil as the hand of a clock face, and just visualise. If you think, well, what would the time be? You know, it's perhaps not quite, perhaps between 1:45 and 10:02 or something like that. But if you imagine it as like minutes on a clock face, that's quite a good way of visualising how that angle should look. And the other thing about doing this is it just really, sometimes I find when I'm drawing, I'm not sure if something's very slightly going that way or that way. And if I do that, it just helps me to see it, because sometimes things can be deceptive. So yeah, start with that. I could then do the measuring bit I've done before, so I could perhaps I'll make it a bit longer than that, I'll do the measuring. But that could be the front edge. And then this side, I think I'll do there. And then this side can come out to here. These I'll just pop down as verticals. And then it's getting these angles here and here, or here and here, and here. So I find if you start with the middle one, if you hold that and then just compare that with the bottom one, again, it's closing one eye, and you can also compare with that one. So you're looking at that one and then comparing with that one, or you can compare with that one. You see that? Yeah. So look at that one, and then hold that angle, and just compare with that one or that one. And what you should find is that this one, the angle will be a little bit steeper. So if you've got that, you find when you bring your pencil down, there'll be a little bit of a gap here. And then this one, holding that angle there and then bringing that to there, you'll find that this one will come out a bit shallower. So it'll be a bit like that. So there'll be a bit of a gap there. And then you do exactly the same with this one. And you find that you bring that down to here, this one will be a little bit steeper. So there'll be a gap there, and this one a bit shallower. So that should come back down to there. So again, a little bit of gap there. And once you have to be there in the right place. Just go over those. And what you find is these will appear to sort of converge. So they'll appear to converge. And so the basic idea of perspective is that these would go to what we call vanishing points, and that will be on your eye level. Wherever your eye level is, they will converge from there. And the same would happen here. You go off this way, and these will appear to converge. So if you're sort of drawing something that's kind of box shaped or square or something like that, and you're finding that one side is going that way, the other's that way. It's looking a bit like that, you know, that's, if they're going away from you, or if these two say they're going away from you, you know, you're a bit out. So the thing, how it should really appear, and to be honest, the difference in these angles is so subtle, it's probably like a degree or a couple of degrees or less than a degree, but it just needs to be slightly sort of tapered in on both ways for it to look like it's in perspective. The basic idea of perspective is things that are closer to us are bigger and longer, and things that are further away will appear shorter. So this edge being closer will be longer than this one that's slightly further away. So, and for that to happen, these will need to just taper in a little bit. Is that enough?
So on the box has got a slight curve.
Yeah, it has actually. Yeah. So what I would do is do something like that. You could find where the middle of the curve would be, if you did a cross there, and then took a vertical line up there, that should give you the middle of the curve. And then you could do something like that then. Yeah. Don't just measure, because it doesn't work. You kind of need to do that bit. Because what you find is that from here to here will be a little bit wider than from here to here. And then that way you get that curve looking like it's in perspective. And then you just need to do the same with that. Probably it gets a bit more complicated. You'd have to construct the inside of that and do that and take that up and something like that. But I think just if you did it on one end, did it by eye and just match it up the other end, that should work.
And when you did the bowl, you just did well, obviously you can see the rim as well mostly.
Yeah.
So it would just be the centre of the bowl.
Yeah, so I mean, the easiest things to draw are things like tin cans, where it is just a disc almost, top and bottom. One of the women this morning was drawing a teapot, and the lid was a bit like this. It was sort of slightly concave, so there was a bit that was, so you almost got one. You've got almost like an ellipse within an ellipse and things like that. So they soon get more complicated to draw. But I think actually sort of having some sort of having a few lines as guidelines can help. So with the rim, but I mean it might be that you could just draw. Let's get a bit of line. That's a bit deeper in it. You could draw perhaps one ellipse and then another ellipse inside of it. What will probably happen is it will appear perhaps a bit wider here. And then that will narrow as you come round and join. Something a bit like that. A little bit like that. If it's, something like that that's kind of a dish shape, I can see almost like a line inside there. Then you've got, this bit I tend to just do that by eye, that shape.
Yeah.
And then there's probably another ellipse down the bottom here, sort of narrower, and a bit like that.
Yeah.
But I think if you start drawing things top down, I think that's always handy. Kind of start from the top down on the bottom up. That can often help. I've got various kind of still life objects here and here, or if somebody brought stuff in, so that's great if you have. Or just anything that's lying around is a still life object. If you fancy having a go at this, it's really good drawing practice, and it's great practice if we go out drawing and painting, the sort of round things and square things, or things that are made up of those sort of shapes.
Oh, can I have the 9 if they want?
So- She refuses
That's
to
my
eat it.
donation.
The chips finished up. Is that okay? Is that anybody? Yep.
Would be using watercolour paper. What sort of paper will be used as for
I'll just use drawing paper. If you've got any sketch paper, or if you want some of this, I've got loads of this. Cartridge paper's great. Yeah, just use cartridge paper. Yeah, just trying. And then I was thinking, like, perhaps the next couple of weeks, perhaps start painting and use whatever mediums you want. I might just cover painting with light and dark next week, and then I'll go into colour the following weeks. But you can, if you fancy setting up a still life, if you've got things you'd like to bring in, I mean, I'll probably basically bring these sort of things each week now, if you want to use some of these. And you could set something up with like a bit of cloth behind it. And I've got a couple of these kind of lumps of wood that you can make into a stand. I've only got a couple of these, but you could drape a bit of cloth or something like that if you want a background. The lighting in here is, as you will have noticed, we've got very weird lighting with this wonderful red cast to everything that turns the shadows all green and stuff like that. But I think, just it's quite a good little project. The fruit I can't guarantee will be the same fruit each week. I'll bring something on the end. She's determined to get rid of it.
Oh yeah, I do.
Right.
Well, I just thought someone might as well paint it, so I'll probably chuck it anyway.